It's crazy how our phones can be these incredible tools, but then, bam, they're also like open doors for scammers.
Right.
Lately, we've been getting a ton of messages from you guys about these, like, shady toll payment texts.
Yeah, those are definitely concerning. And like the FBI and the FTC, they're really worried about this one. They say it's hitting both iPhone and Android users.
Yeah, and it's scary because, none of us want a suspended license. I mean, who does? It
Nobody.
really makes you jump into action, right?
Yeah.
So to help everyone out there, we took a deep dive into this Phone Arena article about it. We want to, like, arm you with the info you need to avoid these traps.
Yeah, because it's wild how they play on our fear. But what I find fascinating is that it's not just fear, it's these deeper psychological tactics.
Oh, okay. So, like, what do you mean?
They're using something called like framing effects. Basically, they present the situation in a way that makes the bad outcome seem way worse.
So, like, they emphasize the suspended license thing?
Exactly, yeah. And that makes people react emotionally instead of logically.
Got it. So basically, they're pushing our buttons to get us to pay up without thinking.
Yeah, pretty much. And they also use this other trick. It's called anchoring bias.
Anchoring bias.
So, you know how they often make the amount you supposedly owe pretty small?
Yeah, it's usually not a huge amount.
Right. So that low number becomes an anchor in your mind. It makes you think like, oh, it's just a small amount, might as well pay it and get it over
Well,
with.
that's sneaky. And you wouldn't think a small number would have that much power.
Yeah, it's crazy how our brains work, right?
Totally. But here's the thing that blows my mind. This isn't even a new scam. Like, this whole toll thing, it's just a classic phishing attempt with, a new coat of paint.
You're exactly right.
So what should people do if they get one of these texts?
Well, the FTC has some really good advice. First off, never, and I mean never, click any links in a text from someone you don't know.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, don't open a door to a stranger. Don't click a random link.
that's a great way to put it, yeah.
Okay, so no clicking links. What about reporting it? Does that actually help?
It really does. Each report, it's like another piece of the puzzle for authorities. It helps them track down these scammers and see any like new patterns they're using.
So how do you actually report them?
You can usually use the report junk feature on your phone or forward the text to 7726 that spells out spam.
Easy enough.
And then after you report it, just delete it.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. It gets rid of the anxiety and any temptation to reply.
Okay, so we know how the scam works, the psychology behind it, and how to report it. But is there anything we can do to protect ourselves in advance?
You know, a lot of it comes down to being mindful of the information we share online. Those scammers, they can find your phone number and other details from all sorts of places.
Like social media and stuff?
Yeah, and even those online forms you fill out sometimes. So being careful with your privacy settings, that's definitely a good first step.
Okay, so lock things down.
For sure. But let's be real, sometimes it feels like our information is out there no matter what. So to really stay ahead, we need to dive into some like more advanced tools and techniques.
Oh, okay, so like, what, secret agent stuff?
Maybe not secret agent level, but pretty close. We'll get into all that in a bit.
More advanced tools and techniques, huh? Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of stuff are we talking about?
Well, one that's becoming really crucial is two-factor authentication.
Two-factor authentication.
Mm.
I've heard of it, but to be honest, I don't really know what it means.
It's basically like adding an extra lock on your accounts.
Okay.
So instead of just using your password to log in, you need a second piece of information as well.
So like what, like a code they send to your phone or email?
Exactly, yeah. So even if someone gets a hold of your password, they still can't get into your account.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's like a double layer of protection.
Exactly.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Good, good. And here's another one, password managers.
Oh, password managers. You know what? I've always been a little hesitant about those. It feels kind of risky, like putting all your eggs in one basket.
I understand the concern. But listen, those reputable password managers, they use incredibly strong encryption.
Okay.
Your data is way safer there than like using the same weak password for everything, or even worse, writing them down on a sticky note.
True, true. I've definitely been guilty of that in the past.
Yeah, we've all been there. Plus, think about how convenient it is. No more remembering a million different passwords.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Right. And they don't just store your passwords, they also generate super strong, unique ones for you.
Oh, so they come up with those crazy combinations of letters, numbers, and symbols.
Yep, exactly. Makes it almost impossible for hackers to crack them.
Wow, that's impressive. So we've got two-factor authentication, password managers. Anything else in this arsenal of ours?
You bet. Let's talk AI.
AI, like artificial intelligence.
Yep. but not the kind that's going to take over the world, at least not yet.
So how does AI help us fight scammers?
Security companies are using it to build some pretty amazing tools.
Okay.
They can actually detect and block phishing attempts in real time.
So it's like a digital bodyguard, always on the lookout for danger?
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome. How does it even work?
Well, these AI tools, they scan through emails, text messages, even websites.
Right.
They're looking for anything suspicious, bad links, misspellings, weird sender addresses, stuff like that.
So they can spot those red flags that we might miss.
Exactly. And the coolest part, they're constantly learning, getting better at recognizing new phishing tricks as they pop up.
So it's like a never-ending battle, AI versus scammers.
It really is a digital arms race. But, with all this tech, I gotta ask, are there any new threats we should be worried about, like stuff that keeps you up at night?
Oh, there are definitely some things on the horizon. One that's particularly freaky is the use of AI to create deepfakes. Deepfakes. Those videos where they make it look like someone's saying or doing something they never did. I've seen those online. They're kind of creepy.
Imagine getting a video call from, like, your mom or your best friend.
Okay.
They're begging you for money, saying it's an emergency.
Oh, what?
But it's not actually them. It's a deepfake created by AI.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Right. And the scary part is these deepfakes are getting so good, it's becoming harder and harder to tell what's real and what's fake.
So how do we protect ourselves from that? Like, is there any way to tell if a video call is actually legit?
It's tough, but the biggest thing is just being aware.
Okay.
Be extra careful with any unexpected video calls, especially if they're asking for money or personal info.
So even if it looks and sounds real, don't just trust it blindly.
Exactly. Always verify through a different channel, like a text or a phone call. Trust but verify. It's more important than ever.
Good advice.
As technology keeps changing, we have to stay informed, stay cautious. Knowledge is really our best defense.
You're telling me. Okay, well, we've covered a lot today. From two-factor authentication and all that to those AI deepfakes. It's been a wild ride. But before we wrap up, there's something I've been wondering about. We talked about protecting ourselves, but what about the people behind all these scams? Who are they? It's just, I don't know, kind of creepy to think about the actual people behind these scams. Like, who are they? What makes them do this?
It's a question I think about a lot, too. It's easy to just picture them as, like, these faceless hackers in a dark room, but they're real people making the choice to, take advantage of others.
Yeah, that's true. We talked about how hard it is to track them down, but are there any, like, common threads? Are we talking about individuals or, like, organized crime rings or what?
It's often a mix, honestly. You do have individuals working solo, but a lot of times it's these bigger, organized networks, often operating across international borders.
Oh, wow. So, like, digital gangs,
Yeah.
almost.
In a way, yeah. They have, like, hierarchies and different roles, specialized skills. They're really sophisticated in how they move money and cover their tracks. It's a massive problem, global in scale.
It really makes you realize this isn't just a few annoying texts, right? It's a whole underground industry.
Absolutely. And a very profitable one. The estimates are crazy. Cybercrime, including phishing, is thought to cost the world economy trillions of dollars every year.
Trillions. Seriously. That's insane. So, with a problem this big, what can we do to fight back?
Well, we've covered the tech tools and strategies, but honestly, I think the most powerful weapon is education.
Yeah, I agree. Knowledge is power, right?
Exactly. The more we understand how these scams work, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves and those around us. We got to share this info, spread the word, especially to folks who might be more vulnerable, like older adults.
Like a neighborhood watch, but online?
Yeah. Exactly. Looking out for each other, spreading awareness. And, another big thing is reducing the stigma around being scammed. A lot of people feel embarrassed, ashamed even, so they don't report it or ask for help.
That makes sense. It's hard to admit you fell for something.
It is. But if we create a more open, supportive environment, people will feel safer coming forward. And that helps everyone. It gives authorities more info to catch these guys.
Okay, so more open conversations about it, less judgment.
Exactly. Breaking down the silence, building awareness. It's how we create a safer digital world for everyone.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Trust your gut. If something feels off, even a little, be skeptical. Don't be afraid to ask questions, double-check things. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Words to live by, honestly.
Yeah.
And if you ever get one of those shady texts, don't engage, report it, delete it, and tell others about it.
We're all in this together, right? Staying informed, taking precautions, and supporting each other. That's how we make the digital world a better, safer place.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of phone scams. Stay safe out there, everyone, and keep those questions coming.